How's everyone's night going? Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Today we're just going to do a real quick and sweet kind of a 10-20 minute lesson just about what I'm kind of watching for this week and everything like that. So without further ado, the first one I'm going to be looking at is Apple. PS, if you have any questions or anything during the little presentation, feel free to drop it in chat and we'll get there in a couple minutes. But Apple's pretty simple. So if you look here on the daily chart, here's the trend from the last pretty much 2 months or so. And every time we kind of got up here, we got rejected. So we had a little bit of an oomph right there, but we got rejected. So this is just pretty much last week. We got to the top of that trend line and then we started getting rejected. So ideally, this is where I want us to hold at this bottom of the trend line. So if we go on the smaller time frames, let's go on the hourly. Right in this general blue box right here is where I want Apple to hold for bounce plays. So ideally anywhere from probably about 144.50 to about 143. I want this area to hold this week because this is where we had a little bit of liquidity where people and participants were interested. So as we can kind of see here, we had a little bit of a bearish flag or pennant kind of coming into the end of the day of Friday. So we could possibly see another little leg down right around here. So ideally we want this to hold though. So kind of just keep this area in the back of your mind, because if we see a bounce and buyers stepping up here, that's a very, very good indication for some long. So we could have great risk reward trades because our next real target is up here, right? So if you look at it, like just to visualize it, let's say I enter here, say that's my stop loss. I already know my target. My targets are up here, right? So this is upwards of possibly an 8-to-1 risk reward. So kind of think of it like that. Now, if it does not hold this, then we can go all the way down to this green box. So this is a 4-hour demand zone. Same exact thing if you want to visualize your risk rewards. I like to do this just so I can visualize it. Let's just say this box doesn't hold. I enter short somewhere right here. This will be my stop loss. I'll enter, say, right here, and that's my real first target. And then my last target would probably be somewhere down here. So this is upwards of about almost a 5-to-1. Real quickly, long means bullish, short means bearish. Okay, so that's Apple in a nutshell. Pretty simple. If it holds this blue box, we buy calls. If it does not, we buy shorts. So we put and we look for this green box. So pretty simple play here. That's Apple. Another one I was looking at was actually Plug. Plug's been slept on, but if you look here in the daily time chart, this is setting up pretty nicely on for a bullish flag. Now, we really want to see pretty much this area hold 1750. If it does not hold, then we can come somewhere down here, probably in the 1680s, possibly a little bit lower. But all we really care about holding, if we're bullish bias, is 1750. Then if you're going to go down on a little bit of a smaller time frame, you can kind of see that we trying to have a little bit of a volume coming in towards the end of the day. Currently, we still had a little bit of a downtrend, high, lower high. So we do still need to break above here. So I wouldn't really be looking for calls just yet. A safer call would probably be above here, about $19. Now, this is a very, very cheap stock, so this is great for small account friendliness. So if anything, you could day trade this and maybe enter like here. Just obviously you want to have good risk reward. So if it's not going in your favor, you want to be cutting. You don't want to just be holding this. So this will be more for like an aggressive early entry. And if you want more of a safer entry, you'll be entering somewhere up here. So that's Plug. And then if we end up not holding whatsoever, we would then be shorting under 17. So if we can't hold this box, we start looking for shorts, and then our profit target would be somewhere down here, maybe about $16 or something like that. So that's Plug. Very, very, very cheap for small account. So definitely keep this one on lock. Now, another one, I actually had this one on my newsletter last week. It's IBM. So if we look on the large time frame, let's do the quarterly. So this is 3 months. If you can kind of see here, we've been setting up for 10 years. 10 entire years, right? So this is something to be really mindful of. Now, last week was pretty much the first week that we actually started breaking out of this. So ideally, just to kind of mark it, let's just mark this area. We want this area to pretty much hold slash become new support to so something that we want to see. So we had that first initial breakthrough. So we want to actually see something like this. We want to see a pullback, find new support, and then we want to leg back up higher. So that's something we want to see. Now, something to be mindful of, IBM is slow as shit. It moves very slowly. So this is not really the best day trading stock, just kind of an FYI. If you want to swing this, maybe 2 weeks, a month, couple months, this is very cheap. So as long as it holds the 138 region, you can swing this, and your real target probably won't be until like 150. This will be your first major target, because you have to realize this took 10 entire years. Once this actually, has some steam to it, this is going to keep going. Like, I think possibly if, the market holds up well over the next couple months or over the next year or so, IBM can probably get up to about $200. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Definitely a very good swing trading stock. Not really the best for day trading. So if you look at it, it's like pretty kind of choppy in a sense for the smaller time frames, shorter term. But in the longer term, it runs pretty well for swings. So that's IBM. The follow through, another thing I just want to kind of mention, the follow through when we broke out wasn't really great. We kind of just started chopping around. So we do want to hold somewhere within this box. Now, if we can hold above this little pennant slash flag, that's a little bit better. But as long as we hold this green box, our swings are valid. So this is IBM. Definitely want to keep on watch. Another one that I actually had, so is Caterpillar. I called this puppy out back in April and May. I enjoy Caterpillar. So Caterpillar actually did just kind of break out of if you look here, there's a double bottom. So we actually double bottomed out. And then we do have a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of a gap right here that's trying to possibly get filled. So we'll just remember that gap. Then if you look on the smaller time frame, let's look at the 30-minute. So you can kind of see what we did last week. We had a little bit of a symmetrical triangle, broke out of it. Then we actually made a flag. So we made a bullish flag Friday. So we want this to, and an overnight session, we're currently trying to pretty much hold this flag. So this is good. So we could possibly see a nice run up either maybe tomorrow or at least maybe in the beginning of the week if this area holds. Just comparing the poll to the actual profit target. So ideally somewhere right around here. So 226 or 227.50. So that would be the major target if this poll actually does, the move. Another ones would be, 224, 225. I don't have that mark. 226, 227. So pretty much just the psychological $1 numbers. Those are your targets. Caterpillar is a good stock for day trades or for swing trades. The spreads aren't too bad for Caterpillar day trades. There might be about like sometimes upwards of about $15 wide. So just be mindful and do not market order when trading Caterpillar. I would recommend trying to only do limit orders for Caterpillar. Now, if it does not hold, and then we would look to short. We would look to actually go for puts pretty much underneath this. If this area does not hold, so about 221.40. If you want a safe entry, just say 221. Really depends on if you want to be safe or aggressive. And the real target would be probably 220. and then 219. So same exact thing. Psychological whole numbers really matter. Like those $1, $2, $5, 10, 25, 100. That's something you don't want to overlook. Those are some always going to be targets. Just really quickly, we'll do SPY just super quick. So SPY ended up. So this yellow box was a major resistance region. So another reason why we kind of got rejected here, because for one, we went up. Well, you have to think about it. We went up, almost 3% in one day. And whoever swung calls here, not to be blunt, but you were a moron, and you don't want to do that, because you have to realize we just moved up so much. Why would you buy calls? This is when you want to stay cash, or you want to look for shorts, because if you bought shorts, you would have been rewarded extremely heavily, right? So you have to realize, if something like this happens, don't FOMO and buy calls. Either stay cash or go short. But anyway, so we had a gap down, and we pretty much just lost most of our gains. So this blue box we want to hold. If it does not hold, then we can kind of come down to here. So this is actually marked. It's a little bit of a demand area right here. Now this blue box is just basically a zone of probability. I'll do a YouTube link for that if you don't know what I'm talking about, just so people don't ask me what a zone of probability is. I'll link it in the chat in a second here. But anyway, so what we want to see if we want to be bullish is 409 holding. If worst case scenario, we want 407 to hold. So if 409 does not hold, you can look to buy puts, and our target will be around 407. As we can kind of see here, every single time we've hit 407 before, huge rejection, huge support, huge support. So there's going to be definitely some buyers around this 407 region. So we want to be very mindful of that. So if it can't hold 409, then we can go back down to 407, maybe about 408 or so. But regardless, just be very mindful when and if we go down to 408, 407, because there could be a very aggressive bounce like we saw here and like we saw here. Now, if that does not happen, then our next real target will probably be about 406 to 405. Same exact mentality. You want to use these psychological whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., for your profit targets. Same exact thing to the upside, like 112, 113, 115, etc. Don't overlook that. These are very important to kind of be mindful of. Just dollar increments are very important. Just before I forget, let me post. There we go. So what I said about zones of probability, if you don't know what that is, I made a video of it. Put that in the comments for you guys if you want to check it out. Very good video on how I make my levels and my thought process behind how I make my levels. I make them a little bit differently from most people. I've noticed most people just stay like on the daily, maybe the weekly when they make their levels. I don't do that. I actually start from the quarterly. So I start from the biggest time frames there is, one of the biggest rather, and then I make my levels that way. So I do it a teeny bit differently. But that's SPY. So I'm pretty much just watching, in a sense, I guess you could call it EV, because Tesla is kind of interesting as well. So because Tesla, we could either bounce aggressively at this 700 level, or if we don't bounce aggressively, we're probably going way back down to here somewhere, maybe about 650, 660. So either way, Tesla could be a great upside or a great downside. So this is another one. Now, if you do not have a larger account, perfectly okay. Tesla and NIO usually run pretty well. So like if Tesla's doing something, NIO is also most likely doing something. So just kind of side-by-side comparison. So like when we had that downtrend, so did NIO. Now it isn't as aggressive as Tesla's, but we did have a downtrend anyway. So people are asking about Amazon. Very good question. Anything can happen for a stock split, literally anything. So if you think about it, in the long-term region, we announced stock split, I forget the exact date. I know for a fact it's been at least a month. Anyone remember the actual stock split announcement date so we can kind of just look at it and see when that happened? Okay. Someone said March. I guess yeah, I could see that. I know it's been a while. Yeah, okay. So that would make sense if it was mid-March because we had that slight run up. Basically people just being super FOMOing, thinking Amazon's gonna, that's usually what happens after the stock split announcement. People just funnel in and funnel in and funnel in. And this is when the market took a turn and we ended up kind of double bottoming right here on the daily, double bottomed out of it. Now we did run pretty heavily the last couple of days. We're up almost 25%. So anything can really happen, honestly. So like the levels that you want to be really mindful of, let me just get rid of everything else. It's pretty much this level and this level. So like if we can break above, let's just call it an even 2,500, then we're able to keep going higher. If we can't and we break below 2,400, then we can keep going lower. Now, these are for safe entries right here, but if you want more aggressive entries, this one and this one. So 24.88 or 24.22. So you're pretty much in a sense in a range right here, and you want to see where we go. Well, I guess right here. We want to see where we go. We either go to the upside, and then this is our next target. And if that happens, then we go up here. If that does not happen, and if this falls, then we can see here, and then we see lower. And then same exact thing, but Amazon's a teeny bit different. Instead of doing like those dollar increments, like 1, 2, etc. For Amazon, you want to go for about $5 increments. So 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, etc. So Amazon's a little bit different because it does move faster. Thoughts on AMD? Good question. So AMD, it ran really rampant, 9% in a day. That's extraordinary. Well, not in a day, but 2 days almost. I guess technically 1 day because it didn't do anything else. But so usually AMD, just because I know how AMD runs, after it has like a big run up like this, it does have a teeny bit of a cooling off period. So we could see a sideways day tomorrow if it stays within this range. That would be more of a sideways cooling off period, or it could just either be really aggressive again up to the upside, or just kind of retrace back down to this liquidity area. Having one specific bias going into a day is really not very ideal. You want to map out different scenarios in your mind. So in this case, I just mapped out 3. Okay, we could either have a choppy inside consolidation day, which would make sense because we did just have that huge leg up. If that does not happen, scenario 1 would be pretty much if we break this high of day right here, we can continue higher. If that does not happen and we break low of day, then we can continue lower. So as you can see here, I just had 3 scenarios instead of just having one specific bias. You want to map out multiple scenarios because anything can happen. Hope that one helps. We'll do one more and then we'll stop. I don't want to make this a huge thing. So we'll do Costco, last one. Let me actually look on the larger time frame real quick. Okay. Actually looks pretty decent as long as it can hold around that area and break that area. So we'll mark it on the smaller time charts. So we did have, all right, so what kind of happened here, just to break it down for people. So we had a nice little flag. So here's the pole. Here's the little flag. We broke out of the flag. Now we hit some resistance here. If you can kind of see here, this is previous area of resistance. Now we're falling back down. So we need to hold ideally this box right here of about 473. If that does not happen, we can continue back down to the zone of breakout, which is around here, probably about 265 area, give or take. We want to find support here. And if we find support here, then we can make another leg higher. If we do not find support, then we can make a kind of a drive lower. So that's what Costco is doing, is pulling back after legging up pretty aggressively. Pullbacks are perfectly fine. As long as it holds this initial impulse zone, you're good to go. We'll do one more. We'll do QQQ, and then I'm going to end it here. I mean, it's honestly pretty similar in a sense to SPY if you look here. Not 100%, but like it has good similarities. So as you can kind of see here, huge run up, gap down, sold off. So like exact same principles really apply here. So if we cannot hold this area, then what do you think is going to happen? We're going to come back down to here. If we do hold this area, there's our first target where we got rejected. There's our second target where we got rejected. And then our third real target is right here, that gap fill. This is what we want. So here's a couple scenarios. We don't hold, we go back down to here. We do hold, we go here, here, and here. Hope that helps. Any other questions, anything you want to chat about, anything at all? I just wanted to do a quick and sweet thing to just kind of showcase a couple stocks that I was talking about. Most of the stocks I rattled off, which is, Apple, AMD, Caterpillar, Plug, IBM, all of them are very cheap. Very, very, very cheap. Amazon and Tesla obviously are the ones that aren't. Now, I'm just going to make a very quick thing. If you have a small account, do not trade Amazon tomorrow. If you have no idea how the fuck it runs, don't trade Amazon because you'll blow your account. It might be cheaper now, but Amazon's still going to be really, really volatile tomorrow. Just a forewarning, it's going to be very volatile. So if you have no idea how Amazon runs, please just do not use it. Please, you'll make money on anything else. Like trade AMD, trade Apple, trade Nvidia, trade literally anything else. Give Amazon a day or two to just relax, because it's going to be super volatile tomorrow. Just kind of a forewarning, because I don't want anyone in the chat to bitch if they lose money. Just kind of looking out for you guys. Let me just see if there's any questions real quick before I end it. How long do you wait before you jump in, usually after open? Great question. I usually wait at least 15 minutes. Lately, I've been waiting 30 minutes. So usually I don't trade for about the first 30 minutes. How do you stop revenge trading? Good question times two. I actually made a video about this. 1 second here. There you go. It linked it in the chat for you. Okay, so if you want to check out my YouTube, I post stuff pretty much at least 2 to 3 times a week. Tons of different gems on there if you want to check it out. If you have any topics that you recommend and want me to see and make, feel free to DM me and I'll happily make them for you this week or next week. Now, I just have one really quick announcement. So I announced it last week about a possible mentorship. I ended up deciding to do something like this just to kind of give you some information about it. It's going to be 3 months long. It's going to be about 30 hours total duration. Instead of the generic, someone teaches you for 8 to 12 hours and lets you go. This is not what's going to happen. I'm going to be holding your hand in a sense the entire time. I want to gauge your progress, see what you're actually struggling with, and then we make adjustments together. And then after that 3 months, we're going to be still working together. I still want to see every single month your update. So like I want to see your trading history for that month. I want to recap. So this way I can actually gauge your progress over the next couple months. And this way you'll be able to kind of accelerate your learning instead of just having someone teach you, quote unquote, teach you for 8 hours and then letting you go. This is completely different from the normal. And it's going to be 3 months of my time and 3 months of your time. So if you're interested in this, please let me know ASAP. It's going to be starting in probably a week or two. And the slots are going to be minimalized, probably like a couple max. I just want it to be a small group of people. So if you're serious, please let me know. If you are not serious, do not waste my time. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I can't wait to have a great week with you, everyone.